Welcome back to Golf Xtra. We all know that golf is hard, even for the pros. But some players have really had a difficult time on the course, and their scores reflect that. But just how bad has it gotten? Stay tuned here on Golf Xtra to find out. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this one. Now, let's get right into the worst rounds in the history of golf. Before we get into the worst recent rounds in golf, we'll first cover some of the highest scores in the older history of golf. The game was very different back then, and the caliber of golf was slightly lower. Way back in 1898, J.D. Tucker did something that very few other golfers had done before, and that's not a good thing. During the 1898 U.S. Open, only the fourth instance of the tournament, held at the Myopia Hunt Club in Hamilton, Massachusetts, Thompson's first round went a little off the rails. On the notoriously difficult course, he shot a sky-high 157. Over 18 holes, he averaged nearly 9 shots per hole. In today's game, even quite a few weekend players would be hitting that score in the U.S. Open. However, Tucker withdrew from the tournament immediately after the round, so it doesn't count officially. With that being said, he wasn't the only one that struggled with myopia that day. C. Thompson did end up turning his scorecard, and it was a whopping 114 strokes. He even stayed in the tournament to try to turn it around the next day. Turns out that myopia can make people do some crazy things. Just jump ahead to 1908. You'd think that somebody with the last name Parr wouldn't end up on a list of the worst rounds of all time. However, back in 1908, Parr did just that, scoring a shocking round of 114 at the 1908 U.S. Open, also held at the Myopia Hunt Club. Both Parr and Thompson's scores make a little more sense in the context of the game at the time. In both 1898 and 1908, the winners of the U.S. Open had 3 of their 4 rounds over the score of 80. That's right, those were the winners of those tournaments. Safe to say, that was a different time in golf. Moving forward to the modern day, there have been 43 times since the 1940s where a golfer has surpassed the score of 90. We won't be able to highlight all of them, but we'll cover a couple of the most notable ones. First, though, we'll start with a very well-known golfer who just missed the score of 90, but still had an extremely tough day at the demanding Carnoustie in 1999. Yes, I was suffering. I couldn't do anything. I felt I couldn't swing the club. Today, everything came out the wrong way. I don't think there is too much I can take from this except possibly patience. The Open is always difficult, but this year is too tough. That's what a young Sergio Garcia had to say after an opening round of 89 at the 1999 Open Championship held at Carnoustie Golf Links. At only 19 years old, he ventured onto the infamous course with a ton of confidence and hype, but crumbled under the pressure of swirling winds and a major championship atmosphere. As his caddy Jerry Higginbottom tried to explain, when you start with a triple bogey in a major, you're in major trouble. The wind was affecting everyone, and when it blows like that, it's hard to put your finger on what's going wrong technically. We got no good bounces, no good breaks, and the bunkers were like magnets. Of course, Garcia would rebound to have a great career, but he still carries the mantle of having the worst round of any modern major winner. His only competition might be our next golfer. Ian Baker Finch was ranked as high as 10th in the world during the early 1990s, and he even picked up a major championship victory at the 1991 Open Championship. However, his game suffered an almost complete collapse of his golf abilities due to issues with his swing and overall confidence around 1994. He didn't even play more than 1 round in most of the tournaments that he entered, but he still decided to enter the 1997 Open Championship as a past championship. Yeah, it didn't go well. Baker Finch shot a 92 at Royal Troon in the first round and was so shaken that he decided to retire from pro golf almost entirely. He only played 2 more pro tournaments in his career. In reflection, Baker Finch said, "The awful thing is that some people will remember me as someone who should not have played, who had no respect for the Open, and not for what I achieved in the championship and elsewhere." Baker Finch did achieve a lot in his career, but he certainly has a unique distinction of reaching the highest highs and lowest lows in the same tournament, although several years apart. We've covered a couple of well-known players so far, but the worst rounds in golf have largely been played by relatively unknown players. You'd be forgiven for not having heard of Scott Gregory before. In his career, he only has 1 professional win on the Clutch Pro Tour, although he also won the 2016 British Amateur. He's probably better known, however, for his difficult performance at the 2018 U.S. Open. Gregory ended up shooting a score of 92 in the windy conditions at Shinnecock Hills Golf Club. Gregory started out poorly, taking 47 strokes on the first 9 holes, but still looked to be pretty safe going into the last few holes. That is, until he carded a triple bogey 7 on the 14th and a double bogey 5 on the 17th. It should come as no surprise that he didn't make a single birdie, and Gregory only made 3 pars. After the round, he said, "I knew it was going to be tough. It was wind, and I've played in wind before, so that wasn't the issue. The issue was I didn't hit it on the short stuff very much." Gregory's 92 is the most recent example of a score breaching 90, but we don't have to look too much further back to find a golfer who broke triple digits. It's been called the most embarrassing round in golf history. Billy Casper, who won 2 U.S. Opens in 1959 and 1966, as well as a Masters in 1970, was 73 years old when he decided to play the Masters one last time in 2005. It was, in a word, a debacle. He shot a score of 106 and promptly withdrew. Casper had been spurred on to play in the Masters by his grandkids, and it was admittedly a good-natured event for a former champion. However, Casper's awful performance on arguably golf's biggest stage only amplified a debate about an age limit for former champions who are given an exemption to those types of events. After the event, Casper said, "The score doesn't mean anything. The scorecard is in my pocket, and I'm going to frame it." Yes, this round wasn't officially posted, so it's not officially counted in the records, but there's one other modern-day golfer who broke the infamous triple-digit mark. Almost every other golfer on this list is here because of general poor performances, but Mike Reeser doesn't quite fall into this category. You see, unlike today's complex system of exemptions, back in 1974, golfers on the PGA Tour were required to finish an event in order to get into the following week's event. That's right, just finish the tournament. This became easier said than done when, after Reeser had already made the cut through the first 2 days of the 1974 Tallahassee Open, he was injured in a horseback riding incident prior to the 3rd day of the event. He separated his left shoulder and cracked several ribs in the accident, but was still resolved to finish the event in order to qualify for next week's tournament. Due to his injuries, though, he was only able to use his right arm, so he swung one-handed. He mostly used 3 clubs, a 5-iron, a wedge, and a putter. He played all 18 holes like this for the next 2 days. It did not go well. He shot a staggering 123 on Saturday and followed it up with a 114 on Sunday. This spectacle made him pretty popular on the course, as Reeser said later. On the last 3 holes on Saturday, word had gotten around the course what this crazy fool was doing. We had more people watching us than the leaders. He did it with plenty of help from painkiller medication, which may have even made things harder for him, as Reeser explained. "I think the fact that I made it around that course is commendable. I almost didn't make it going up the hill on 16. I was woozy there. I got all kinds of medications in me." He should be commended for his resilience, despite the embarrassing scores that it produced. However, it turned out to not make much of a difference. Reeser was so injured that he was unable to play in the next week's event after all. Now that's a crazy story. So what do you think about our list of the worst rounds in the history of golf? Do you think we'll get another round in the triple digits in the future? What would you shoot on the PGA Tour? Be sure to leave us a comment with what you think down below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you can watch our latest content updates as soon as they drop.